Welcome to Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil, the official Monster Jam podcast. I'm Scott Jordan, and for the last 2 years, the Monster Jam theme song has taken the sport by storm. You hear it on our television broadcasts and live events all over the world, and right now we're going to dive into the creation of that song. It is my pleasure to welcome in on the Great Clips Hotline from Muscle Shoals, Alabama, the songwriter and beautiful voice behind the Monster Jam theme song, Sydney Mack. Sydney, welcome to Inside Monster Jam. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. So we know Nashville is Music City, USA, big country music town, but I don't know that a lot of people that aren't familiar with country music knows that a lot of songs get recorded in Muscle Shoals. Some of the best studio musicians in the country are there. So what are you doing out there in Alabama right now?
Yeah, I am at Ivy Manor Studio right now, actually coming to you from the studio itself and starting to record my very first full-length album project. We're starting with 3 songs. Every day this week, we've been doing like 11 to 9 in the studio, getting into the weeds, and it's been amazing. There's something in the water here.
There is definitely something in the water. You talked in an interview before about how as an independent artist, it's all about singles and recording, and releasing one song maybe every 6 months, but you have a big library of those. So why now? Why is this the perfect time for you to put some of that together and make a full-length album?
Yeah, I've been writing. I'm a songwriter as well, so I've been writing a ton of songs, and I've been sitting on them for the last 5 or 6 years, and they're all like my children at this point. So trying to decide which 12 kids are my favorite has been really tough. But I've been playing a singles game and letting the people that I've written with produce each track. Sure. But to come here and have one producer, the same musicians on everything, it just gives it this cohesive sound that I haven't had before. So all of these songs will be produced by the same producer and played on by the same musician. So it'll be truly Sydney Mack. I'm
looking forward to that. When can we expect that album to be out?
Yeah, so I'll probably end up releasing single by single, but it'll be every 6 to 8 weeks, so a lot shorter time in between. And then the full album, I would say probably by the end of the year next year, maybe even beginning of 2026, which sounds so crazy because it is August 2024, but by the time I get all the songs out, it'll probably be an almost 2-year process.
It'll be here before you know it, though.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Just like August. It was January, February, March, April, May, June, July.
I know. My kids just graduated first grade. They just started second grade, 2 days away from each other. This is crazy. Before we talk about the song, let's talk about your journey to Nashville. You go from Steel City to Music City. So Pittsburgh to Nashville. Obviously, love of music and entertaining led you to Nashville, correct?
Correct. Yep. I grew up listening to all genres, really. Inspired by Motown and Southern rock and obviously country. I always say country is where my heart is. But I grew up listening to the Judds specifically, and my mom and I would sing. She was Naomi, I was Winona. Grandpa tell me about the good old days, and I think that, subconsciously I saw this mom and daughter loving life, singing together on stage, and I think that's what initially inspired me.
For me, it was my grandfather used to pick me up from school and blare Merle Haggard in the car. And for me, that was my introduction to country music, and fell in love with that there. But you end up, you go to college in Nashville, you go intern at Music Row. Where did you intern at?
Yeah, I interned at McGee Entertainment. They wide range of artists. They managed Kiss and Darius Rucker.
Okay.
So I honestly don't know if they managed him when he was with Hootie, but when he went country. And then I interned at a really small publishing company, and they got bought out by a larger publisher. But that was really cool because I got to see songwriters day in, day out, hear the songs that they were turning in, the day they wrote them. And I honestly didn't know a whole lot about songwriting when I lived in Pittsburgh. I never really thought about where the songs came from. Yeah. So when I moved to Nashville, I was very green at songwriting. So interning at a publishing company was amazing.
I was the same way when I started music. I didn't really write very much. We had a guy writing our songs, but then my manager pulled me aside one day and he said, "Kid, you know where the money is? It's in the songwriting, buddy. It's in the publishing. So start writing." So it's a crash course there, and you got to experience that firsthand. Were you just like a big kid in a candy store as a country music fan and aspiring singer, seeing all of these famous songwriters and singers come through on a daily basis?
It's one of those things where you have to kind of desensitize yourself to it, because you don't there's a term, and it's called germ, and it's like those are the people that, they see somebody and they run up and like, hey, can we take a picture? And I didn't want to,
Right.
accost anybody. I didn't want to have to freak anybody out, so I would just play it cool. I mean, I saw Reba McEntire come out of the ladies room at a restaurant, and I was just like, hey, like inside freaking out, but I just had to be really cool about it. But yes, to answer your question, of course, to see these people that you've idolized, that are your heroes in the flesh, face to face, I will never get over that.
Well, and now it's pretty cool because you are that person to a lot of fans around the world now. It's got to be a great feeling to go from one side of the spectrum to the other.
I will tell you that has been probably my favorite thing about being involved with Monster Jam, besides how wonderful everybody is in the Monster Jam organization at Feld. But these, parents who are tagging me in TikToks of their kids going to Monster Jam for the first time and singing along to the song, like that is, I truly never, I tell people, I'm like, I never had this on my bingo card for my life, but it has been the absolute greatest joy to watch this song connect with so many people.
It's a catchy tune, and we're going to break it down coming up next. More with Sydney Mack on Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. Welcome back to Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. I am joined this week by singer-songwriter Sydney Mack. Sydney, let's talk about your first initial break in Nashville. What was that for you? What was that big moment where you felt like, okay, I can finally do this now?
It is a tough business, and you have to get up every day and remind yourself why you're there and what you're doing there. But I think for me, I was getting ready to release this EP, and my manager, she was like, we should do a show in sync with releasing this EP. So she invited all of these people, industry people in town, and she sent out the email, and about an hour and a half later, she gets a phone call from an A&R guy at a record label. Nice. And I mean, he's a big producer as well. He produces Blake Shelton, Michael Ray, Dan and Shay. Like he produced Brooks and Dunn. Like he's so incredibly talented. And he was like, who is this Sydney Mack girl? Like I want to know everything about her voice. There's something that I really love. I want to walk down this road with you guys. And that was in 2019. He was the first person that, besides my manager and myself and my parents and my husband, who was like, oh my gosh, someone really is validating that I'm here for the right reasons and that I should be here. And it sounds crazy because you shouldn't need that validation, but you're craving it,
As an entertainer, you always need that validation. You need to know.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need
exactly.
to know.
And I hate that I needed that, but I have never looked back since then. My confidence just went,
And
Nashville
A&R reps are tough to get their attention there. So well done on that. But let's talk about getting Monster Jam's attention. How did this whole thing initially start? Did you reach out to us? Did we reach out to you? How did that happen?
So in the times of COVID, one of the things that so many artists were doing they were going live on TikTok. And, if you can't go out and play live shows, that's an amazing way, almost even arguably better than playing live shows, because you can reach people all over the world. And actually got connected with a guy named Jeff Bylowski. And we were like emailing back and forth, and we started talking about music and thinking about country music and Monster Jam, and how there's such a cross of people who love both things. And one thing led to another, and I said, hey, if you ever need live music at a Monster Jam event, ever need a theme song? And Jeff was like, I think that's a great idea. So that's truly, I mean, it was so organic how it happened. And I've got a guy, my friend Tony McVaney, who I trust with my life and with my music. And, ran this by him and I was like, hey, crazy idea. You wanna take a shot and try to write this theme song for Monster Jam? And he was like, absolutely. So
It's such a wide brand. So to be able to do anything with Monster Jam, when you look at the wide spectrum the net that we cast, whether it's retail, broadcast, TV, it's there. So to put yourself in that conversation, I mean that's ambitious, and I love that attitude. So what was the next step for you? You sat down with your partner and just started writing. Did you know anything about Monster Jam at all when this process was going on?
that is I'm so glad you asked that because I've got to give a shout out to Jax and Jace. I nannied. That's what a lot of artists do. You're either serving or you're, nannying. And the two little boys that I took care of, they are the absolute biggest Monster Jam fans. Their parents, Jen and Jet, like they are a Monster Jam family through and through. So I spent 7 years creating Monster Jam in their living room with blankets, and we'd make jumps with, stuff under the blanket. And I had to play the theme song. That's how this all started, really.
Okay.
Jax was like, okay, so Bad to the Bone. Like he was giving me all of the theme songs for every truck. So I had to be the DJ and play the theme songs when we would play Monster Jam in the living room. So I knew all about Monster Jam before I even got connected with everyone.
So that gave you a nice jump there, but you still have to sit down and write a song. And we have music at our events, but writing a song about 12,000-pound monster trucks probably isn't the easiest thing in the world to make happen.
Well, I started honestly on the Monster Jam website with the glossary of terms, and I was like, okay, so these are, I maybe didn't know all about the wheelies and everything, all of the different terms that they use in Monster Jam. But I said, when I get a theme, I'm very good at sticking to that theme and writing a song about that. So Tony kind of got this track going and he made it feel a little, like grungy a little bit. My thought was Carrie Underwood with the, Sunday Night Football.
Has that vibe to it for sure.
Theme song / Imagine Dragons. Like how can we mesh the two? So just trying to get inspired by other songs that we've heard and make it all about Monster Jam. So it actually, I think we wrote the song in maybe 2 hours. Like it took one writing session.
I think you did a great job. So do millions of fans around the world. Coming up next, we'll talk about the recording process on Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. Welcome back to Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. I'm Scott Jordan. This week, I am joined by Sydney Mack, the composer and singer of the Monster Jam theme song. We just started really getting into this process for you, the writing process. So the song is written, you presented it to Monster Jam, and was it, yes, absolutely, let's go right away? Did you, no pun intended here, but get the green light immediately? See what I did there?
I see what you did there. I like it. I love it. It was... I think there were a couple of notes. One of them was a little bit faster. It was a little slow, and the energy in the stadium. That's the other thing. I wanted to make sure we had like that call and response, like the when I say monster, you say jam. I thought that was really important for the energy of a crowd. And if someone's at home and they say, "Hey Alexa, play the Monster Jam theme song," I want them to be in their living room like I was with Jax and Jace yelling jam. I mean, that was really important to me. So, honestly, there were not a lot of notes besides maybe a little bit faster. And I don't think there were any lyrical changes, which I was fully expecting because this, at the end of the day, this is, the Monster Jam brand. So my job is to give them exactly what they want and what they need. But I was thrilled that they embraced it as much as they did.
And then you have to begin the process of recording it, correct? So that I assume that took place in Nashville?
It did. And in fact, my favorite nugget of information about this song is when you hear the crowd yelling jam at that part, it's literally like a couple of us in the studio standing at different spots around the microphone and doing like jam, 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 like just a bunch of different voices 30 times. It was really fun.
It's so good because I was actually I did the live events in Orlando a couple weekends ago, and I actually did hear the crowd chanting along with that call and response. So that worked. It was perfect. It's brilliant. It gets the crowd on their feet. It hypes them up. My kids love the song because they know when your song plays, Daddy's going to be on TV. So they just run. They sing along with the song, and we blare it in the car as well. So we get through the writing process, the recording process. Now, of course, every major song needs a music video, and you have this incredibly cool video in Nashville. It was in Nissan Stadium, right? You did it right there with the trucks. Was that correct?
I didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into, and it was so much cooler and so much more fun than I could have ever dreamed. Like all of the guys that like Lee, Mark, I mean, all of these guys just live and breathe videography, and specifically for Monster Jam. Like they were as excited as I was to film this video. And the energy was so good. It was hot. It was June in Nashville. So it was, I mean, I remember wearing my, cowboy boots and just dying inside because it was so hot and trying to, look fresh.
Yeah.
But it was just so cool. And to see the final product, how they weave all of the shots of the trucks and the drivers. And I mean, it's just such a cool experience. And I'm so proud of how it turned out. And honestly, to sit on the tires like that, on BKT tires, down parked in front of Nissan Stadium and sing, that was wild.
And it has 2.3 million views on YouTube right now. Did you know at the time what we would be using this song for, that it would become so massive and just be an integral part of literally everything we do?
At the end of the day, I hoped that that's what it would become, because again, it's like if Monster Jam embraces it like that, then I've done my job. Let's put it this way. I've gotten a text from Jeff and he's like, oh, here's the music video playing in Johannesburg tonight.
Yeah.
Like that, to think of this song that Tony and I created in his studio inside of his house in Nashville, and it's taken on a life of its own like this. I honestly couldn't have even dreamed this. Truly, I had no idea it would be as big as it was, and I'm so proud of that, because the Monster Jam crowd, man, they can be tough, and I wanted to create something that they loved, and the response has just been amazing.
It's been incredible to experience that at the live event. If you folks have not been out to a Monster Jam live event, please go. This song, it's such a great thing because we get this big highlight package, and then your song starts playing. We see your face up on the Jumbotron, the lights go down, the ribbon boards go red, the pyro comes up, and then it's just nothing but engine, like 1,500 horsepower running crazy. It's an amazing thing. You've had a chance to get out and perform this song live at Monster Jam events. So I know you've been to a couple World Finals now, but let's talk about Bridgestone Arena first. You got a chance to do that in your home city of Nashville. How was that experience like for you to go in that iconic arena where so many country artists play and get to sing your song that you wrote, that you sing, that's gone worldwide massively?
Just there are no words, because as a kid, as a dreamer, as an artist, these are the kind of things that you really only think you can dream about. You don't actually think they can happen and come true. And so to be in the arena like that and have the microphone in my hand, I mean, that is just, it's unfathomable.
Well, and you go from Bridgestone, which is iconic downtown Nashville in its own right, but then you go to Nissan Stadium at World Finals in front of 50,000 people. And so we take it up a notch. So what was your first World Finals experience like, singing that song at the biggest event of the year in front of tens of thousands of screaming, rabid Monster Jam fans?
Well, I will tell you, people always say, like, do you get nervous with all those people? And for me, the more people, the less nervous I get. If it is a room of 10 people, I like dry throat, like freeze up immediately. But a stadium like that, you can just feel the energy. And when you can play off of the crowd's energy, there is nothing better. And it was cool because the song had come out in September, of 2022. So by the time we got to World Finals in 2023, people really knew it then. Like when we filmed the music video, nobody knew to yell jam, back to me because it hadn't even been out yet. But to see the way the song caught on by the time it got to World Finals in Nashville, my adopted hometown, like it doesn't get better than that.
Well, can you hang out with me for a few more minutes for some fan questions?
Absolutely.
All right, coming up next, Sydney answers your questions on the hot seat. That's next on Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. We are back with more Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil. My guest this week is Sydney Mack, and right now it is your turn to take over the show. You can follow me on Instagram at ScottJordanMJSX and be a part of the conversation. Sydney, are you ready to answer the fan questions?
I'm ready.
Monster Truck Sid is asking, who inspired you to create music? We talked about the Judds already, but were there any other inspirations for you to really take this and make it your career?
Yeah, I say that I've got a Mount Rushmore of country music, and it is the Judds, Winona specifically, Patsy Cline, Trisha Yearwood, and then Bonnie Raitt, who is, she's not exactly country, but she's soulful.
She's
and
right there. Yeah.
I mean, the list could go on. I love Aretha Franklin. I love Creedence Clearwater Revival. I mean, I love Southern Rock, Allman Brothers, just inspired by so many artists.
All right, Monster Jam Kid is asking how it performed to perform the theme song live in Nashville and Los Angeles. We talked about Nashville, but you got to come back this year in LA. What was that experience like for you?
Unbelievable. So SoFi Stadium is unlike, obviously, any stadium I've ever been in, anybody has ever been in. And to see my face on all of those screens was a little bit jarring, but so unbelievable. I had the absolute best time out in LA, and the fans, I mean, they rivaled all of the World Finals fans in Nashville for sure.
Well, Sydney, I can't wait to see what's in store for you in 2025. Thank you for lending your talents to our wonderful sport, and thanks for being here on Inside Monster Jam. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Scott.
That's all the time we have. I'll see you next week with Inside Monster Jam, powered by Lucas Oil.